Hey everyone, just wanted to do a quick update after the Big Midlands Bike Ride. So, some stats. Day 1 was 116.46 miles, 960 feet of elevation, with a total time in the saddle of 9 hours and 6 minutes. Day 2, slightly shorter, 113.16 miles, 1,338 feet of elevation, with a total time in the saddle of 9 hours and 15 minutes. So the total mileage that we covered is 229.62 miles, with a total time riding of 18 hours and 21 minutes. It was amazing but very tough. For me, after our second to last stop at Tattershall Bridge on day 1, I had to stop for a breather, some emergency fuel. Thank God for the gel packs that we took. After about 10 or 15 minutes I was feeling like I was refueled, but the only thing I can say if you're going to take these gel packs on a ride is just make sure that you're close to a bathroom, because if you take some of those at the start of the ride, they will start to go through you. We ended the first day with fish and chips, a bath, a well-deserved sleep, but we were up again bright and early at 5 o'clock the next morning for some breakfast and to set off. For me, this is where the real struggle began. We were heading out of Skegness and we had the wind against us, and it wasn't particularly a strong wind, but after 116 miles the day before, some sleep but not really enough, and my knees were aching, my back was killing. I was really not ready for the amount of energy that was just sapped by fighting against the wind. But I had a goal to make it to the ward where my dad was looked after.
Hey! Oh, look at that!
Calvin had arranged to meet up with the nurses that looked after my dad, and that was just the goal. I just wanted to make it to there. I knew that the goal was to obviously do both days, but realistically I was just completely ruined by the time that we got to the hospital, and it was an emotional struggle from that point. As much as it was great to see the nurses, it brought back many memories of the last time I spoke to my dad and the last time I saw him, which was there. And people could say, well, Matt, take that struggle and use it as a reason to carry on, but I can't begin to describe the feeling. You're just done, emotionally, physically, mentally exhausted. You just feel empty. I spoke with Tony about this, and he described that what I was trying to do was basically death by 1,000 cuts. I could keep pushing through, but I'd be less likely to finish. So I had two options. I could push through, slow down our average speed, get to Trentlock, which was the destination, super late, then struggle to find somewhere to eat and drink straight afterwards, which was a really important thing that we needed to do. Or I could take a break, eat as much as I could, and then meet up with Tony and Jason later in the ride, but actually be able to make it to Trentlock on time to meet up with the family that had arranged things there. So I chose the latter, but this break actually let me collect some of my thoughts, speak to my mum and Calvin, and join in on the support vehicle pit stop at duties. Now, whether they were just being kind or supportive, or whether there was some truth in it, they told me that everything I'd done so far, coordinating people, filming and editing the videos that you've seen on this channel, going on training rides, speaking to cycling companies, designing the jerseys, and at the same time dealing with the loss of my dad, was commendable. It didn't matter if I rode every mile. We've raised 3 times the amount that we aim for, and that's going to make such a positive impact to families that want to have the best time and want the best for their loved ones during their final days. As for the support car, we had loads of things inside there: snacks, bottles of water, sets of old spare tyres for the bikes that we were using, tools, tubes, pumps, you name it. But we didn't really need any of that mechanical stuff. The worst thing that happened mechanical was when Jason had the most hilarious fall. We were riding down like an an embankment next to a canal, and it was all cut up hay and straw and grass, and he hit a rut and fell, and Tony, who was right behind him, had no choice but to just ride through him, and both of them fell on the ground, like laughing so much that they couldn't even shout me. Jason's handlebars were bent, his chain and his derailleurs needed some attention, and Tony had to tighten up his wheel because it was rubbing against the rim, but other than that we were golden. The trek took on everything that came its way with ease. It was just a bit slower because of the extra weight compared to Tony and Jason's gravel bikes. The tyres were superb, and I want to take a moment to thank our friends at WTB who sorted us all out with a fresh new set of tyres for this ride, and they were amazing. Jason had been running semi-slicks for some of his previous rides that you'll see on this channel very soon, and he got the grip that he needed for this ride. I got faster tyres that were slightly thinner with enough grip, and they were super quiet in comparison, and I honestly think that if I didn't have those tyres I probably wouldn't have been able to do the mileage that I did. So Heather and the WTB team, thank you so much for sorting us out. The tyres were epic. Back to day 2, I met up with Tony and Jason to give them some fresh clothes because they were caught in a torrential downpour in the middle of like basically the worst terrain to be going through. I think it was a 6 or 7 mile stretch of overgrown grass and just really bumpy terrain whilst it was absolutely chucking it down. And then I met up with them again just outside of Nottingham for the final leg. I was tired, achy, drained, brain was completely foggy, and just wanted to get home. Tony and Jason were completely exhausted when we arrived at Trentlock, and both of them took about half an hour before they even wanted to have a conversation because they were just that tired. And that kind of gave me some solace because these guys have done long rides for a long time, you know, over a decade of riding these kind of rides, so I felt less bad about not finishing day 2 in full. So we ate, we hugged, we raised a glass to my dad on what would have been his birthday, and we counted some of the cash donations that we've got, and I'm very proud to say that we've crossed the £3,500 mark, which is just incredible. I'm truly grateful and want to thank everyone for their help and support and donations. But what happens next? The Bostonian Ward have asked us to keep the Just Giving page open for 2 more weeks so that they can share it internally and hopefully get some more donations. And then what's going to happen is we'll have a meeting to finalise the exact equipment and things that they want, and then we'll purchase them and drop them off to the Bostonian. The reason why we've got to do it this way is if we give them a big cheque or cash, that has to go to the hospital, and then the hospital will divide the funds out to various wards, and it's likely that the Bostonian probably wouldn't get much or any at all, which is why we wanted to do it this way. On to Calvin, who broke his wrist less than a week before the big ride. He's managed to borrow a Peloton from his friend, and he was planning on doing the big ride over 2 days but at home on a Peloton, but it's not working. We've spoken to Peloton quite a bit, and I've received new cables and new power supplies, but it still won't turn on. So I'm going to do the ride again with Calvin once he's ready to go. The only difference is that this time, to save us both from a very painful and long, slow, exhaustive ride, we're going to split it so that we do day 1 and then we'll take maybe a week to recover, and then we'll go and do day 2. For me, this means that I'll be able to finish day 2, and for Calvin, obviously, it means that he can do both days, but he's not on his own, so I can support Calvin in the same way that Tony and Jason supported me. You may have noticed as well that we've changed the channel name slightly. It's Blokes instead of Blokes, and this is because we're going to do this again to help people and other places that are in need, and we're opening it up to other blokes who want to support us, want to ride with us, start riding for themselves, or get help with their mental health. And in time, maybe this will grow and we'll be doing this for Blokes on Bikes. Let us know what you think in the comments below. But for now, I am going to wash my bike, finally. It's been over a week now. Going to go out for a few rides to keep the legs going and train for the ride with Calvin. So once again, thank you so much for your support, your donations, your words of encouragement. We could not have done this without you. Watch this space for a video where we'll show the impact of your donations and for the full video of the Big Midlands Bike Ride. Thank you.